Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mark from Solo Games. There comes a time when you just have to go make adjustments on, what you're going to decide to do based on what's happening in the market. And today is one of those days where I think we kind of just have to talk about it. If you're anything familiar with Wall Street and how that section works, you know how there's always these agencies that do like upgrades, downgrades. They're doing like watching for and rating for specific stocks. Well, it's kind of similar in what I'm going to present in this video. The whole idea being that I'm going to set price targets for myself and maybe offer that recommendation to you as well for the sealed products that are currently out there, plus pretty much any new sealed products until further notice. As many of you know, probably about, I would say 2-3 years ago, Wizards of the Coast did do away with MSRP in general. And the whole idea here is that so they don't have to kind of force a store to go sell at a certain price. They don't want to peg a certain price. I suspect this was part of them wanting to go to Amazon and not having to feel like they have to hold a certain price there, because of course with lower cost there, because they don't have to go through distribution, it goes directly from Wizards to Amazon to you. Essentially the cost is a lot lower, so not having MSRP gives them a lot of leeway to kind of basically undercut stores, right? You sell the product for whatever price you want to sell. I mean, it sounds like it's a good thing, but in essence, it's actually a bad thing for the stores, because now essentially Wizards can make themselves look like the good guys for undercutting stores, etc. Because again, their costs are way lower. Even when they do Amazon dumps, Wizard doesn't really have to sell stuff at cost, basically. I would even argue the actual cost level for each draft boosters is still lower than even the lowest of what you've seen on Amazon dumps. It's probably about there. It's getting close, but it's not quite there yet. So anyways, a little bit off topic, so we're gonna get right into today's video. What I wanna talk about is just some adjustments I've made recently with respect to sealed product and the pricing, my targets for what I wanna do, right? So obviously Amazon dump has happened. If you're watching this channel, you already know this happened yesterday, day before, whatever. WotC has shown their hands, right? So by and large, the dump wasn't crazy, but that also means that there could be more. I mean, immediately after Black Friday, Amazon changed all their little tags for whatever sale to Cyber Monday. So there's going to be another wave coming probably. And if not, then there's going to be more coming in December, because again, got to meet those numbers for Q4. And you only have a couple months to do it before they have to report earnings for next year, right? For what Q4 happened. And almost every store, especially if you're in the retail business, you never want to have a bad Q4, because that is a really bad indicator, especially if you're selling discretionary things like toys and whatever. Those are the quarter, like Q4 is where you usually make your numbers. So it's okay, excusable even, to have a bad Q3, but having a bad Q4 is usually a really bad idea. Now, Hasbro can still pull through with their business on the toy side, on the entertainment side, but if Magic wants to show good numbers, again, they're reporting separately. So, you're going to see a line item that says, hey, how much money did Magic earn versus Hasbro as a whole? It's not like bundled together. They do want to show good numbers. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty bad. Anywho, basically, unless things drastically change, I'm adjusting my buy prices for all sealed products going forward right now as well, right? The first thing is, what are the changes I'm looking for? So unless things like either the product lines, the product launches change, meaning there's less product or whatever, unless that changes, unless there's print run numbers that are drastically reduced and it's obvious and it's not just one specific set, like, they could do a limited release of Double Masters or whatever, right? That doesn't count for your standard premier sets. You really have to strategically say every single set going forward for X amount of date until further notice, we're going to reduce print runs. Now, they're not going to say that, but you're going to feel it on the secondary market when you realize the supply isn't there. You can't really get it. For some reason, the price keeps going up. Similar to what you're seeing on Brothers War, but I suspect that's actually more because people, again, are chasing after the same collector cards. I think that is the same blip that we saw with Neon Dynasty, and the reality is we know how many collector booster boxes are probably out there, meaning once that secondary supply drops closer to the holidays, that price is going to go back down again. Again, doesn't look like, as far as I can see, any difficulty getting boxes of collector boosters from distributors. So the only reason why the boxes might be a little high right now is because perhaps stores actually backed off from buying boxes. So there's just generally less supply on the market to sell directly to the buyers. So what's inside the product, right? Obviously, if Wizards decide to change what's actually put inside the product themselves, that's going to adjust your buy target pricing, whatever, as well, right? Now, remember, there has been, I've said this a couple of videos, but I feel like it really hasn't hit home, but there has been a across the board Magic the Gathering price increase for all products already, put in place for 2 sets now, probably going to the 3rd set as well. So in essence, like, if that increase has already happened, it's basically bringing up all the normal cards. So really what's going to push for, and that hasn't really even pushed the price, target price higher. It's actually dropped it lower because, again, oversupply. So I suspect what's going to happen is that even if there's newer cards, better cards, whatever, it has to be something drastic before I even reassess these target prices. And lastly, just release schedule. Like, maybe slow things down. If the product starts slowing down, trickling less, there's less product lines cut, that will change my price target. But as right now, these are the 4 things I'm mostly looking for to readjust these numbers. So what are the new numbers that I have, right? So target prices now for draft, I'm targeting 60, meaning under 60, I'm going to pull the buy trigger. But above 60, it's more for your own assessments. I think anywhere between 60 to 80 is probably a good price, especially if you're just a player trying to buy and play. I think it's totally fine, right? And you're not really going to lose any money. In general, that's the range of what the EV for the box is anyway. So if you open the box, play with it, you're pretty much going to get all your money back, minus fees or whatever if you sell them online, etc. Set boosters. Set boosters, I'm targeting at 75. The value is still better. Like, despite what everyone, is kind of worried about set booster being just like draft, it's actually not. There are more rares, there are more mythics. The list is not something you should ignore. There are quite a bit of cards inside the list that 1 or 2 of those cards can actually make or break the box. So, just even if you ignore all the cards in the set, the list slot, if you hit the right card, could be a 4th, could be a 5th to a 4th of that box in value or price. So set boosters, that's why I'm setting the target at a little higher, 75. But again, that number could still drop down if I see like prices that are way lower and, triggers a different buy trigger for me. Collector's booster. So this is probably what most people are here for, wanting to know. My target price now is for any set that's like the premier, like normal sets, you really want to target anything lower than 110. Now, that's going to be hard to hunt for a deal sometimes, but we've seen it with AFR, with Crimson Vow, with Midnight Hunt, and now with Streets of New Capenna, that a lot of these boosters can be discounted heavily, and then that will flush out, whatever's remaining in the system. What you're looking for here is, if you want to target the ones that you should wait for 110 price mark, are the ones that are kind of like just normal. There's nothing special about it. Whereas, like, for example, Neon Dynasty had those like Neon Ink Hitotsugus, which is really probably what's holding up the price of that set. Again, I suspect there was no print number difference between the Neon Dynasty and the Streets New Capenna collector's boosters. They don't adjust that fast. But given that Neon Dynasty one has just additional cards or better ones, that's gonna keep that price higher, versus that's what happened to Neon Streets of New Capenna, which fell to 110 recently. So under 110, I would say buy it. It's probably, your downside risk is pretty low on that. The more premium sets, Modern Horizons 2, Commander, Legends, Baldur's Gate, I almost feel bad talking about that one because it doesn't even feel that premium. But for those sets, my price target remains around 140-ish. Again, Collector's Booster is really tough because I just don't have enough data yet to see. And there's always, like, the market, it's supposed to be a limited product. So the market's always fluctuating depending on what supply is perceived still left in the market. If there's, for some reason, like when Neon Dynasty happened, when we didn't know about the second wave of release, I don't think it was printed. I think it was just like in this warehouse. Those boosters went up as high as, I think, 280, maybe even touch 300. I'm not sure, during a time when it's like weeks after release, which is a very bullish indicator. Of course, when the second wave came to market, that really tanked it all the way down. So things to really kind of be aware of. So it's not a lot of data, but 140, I would say your downside risk for those more premium sets are going to be protected. So including those are going to be like Dominaria United, kind of, right? Does have the Lost Legend cards, which makes it better, but honestly, just given how how you're probably not going to hit anything good and it's going to be a $10 difference, you're almost better off like opening a set booster where your list card could be like $20, $30, $40, $50, right? So yeah, so that's basically what I would say. Brothers War, on the other hand, is a little bit different. The fact that it has basically 2 lottery cards that you can chase after, the serialized cards and also the Shattered Glass foils. Plus the fact that Shattered Glass normal cards are also exclusively in the Brothers War collector's boosters makes those boxes kind of like more in the premium tier. I'm just not gonna, risk myself buying it at even around 200. But if it falls below, let's say like 140, I think that's a pretty big, indicator that I think it's gonna have pretty heavy support at that level. Just something to think about. Commander decks. So in general, the commander decks I'm talking about are gonna be the annual ones. I know that we have multiple ones per year now. What I'm speaking about is the ones that are like, we used to call Commander, 2019, 2018, 2020, etc. Now they kind of just do it as the 4 deck sets. So the one from this year is going to be the one for Baldur's Gate, maybe arguably the Streets of New Capenna one too. So these ones with the 4 decks are in general better than the ones with the 2 decks. But again, it's still pretty risky products. So in general, I would never pay more than about $20 to $25 per deck, right, for these things. So for example, a box of 4 for $90, 95 is probably okay. Anything above 110, I would just shy away from. Commander decks in general have been maybe more or less printed more numerous than previous years, so you do have to be a little careful with that. However, at the same time, because they're printing more Commander products, what I've seen indicator on the market is actually there does seem to be maybe a little bit more like they're printing more supply overall, but they're kind of spreading it a little bit flatter. So, for example, Streets of New Capenna Commander decks, I didn't see the type of crazy fire sale that Ikoria, for example, or Commander 2019 had. So that might be a good indicator that they're kind of slowing that down, or at least spreading the supply across all the products rather than pushing each product vertically higher, right? So again, Commander decks, the 4 decks, or 5 deck sets, if you can target for about $95 to $100 each, I think you're pretty much okay buying those. Again, look, just be ready to sit on those for a little bit of time, because again, maybe they don't move for years. But that's the price I would target. Below that, I mean, it's pretty much a clear buy. If, like, for example, they go to 75, that's that. For the 2 deck sets like Crimson Vow or Neon Dynasty, I basically shied away from all of those, period. Now, if you want to have a target price, I would say maybe like $15 or $10 even for a deck would be my target buy price. Like if you told me that I can get 4 Crimson Vow decks for, I don't know, $50, $60, I would consider it. I think anything higher than that, I would not, because again, too many of those decks exist. Again, this is whenever you have too many Commander precons, each one is less valuable. The other good indicator too is if you really want to know what's worth, what's not, look on the expected value from, like, for example, Dawnglare, and then kind of compare prices and understand which decks are more worth it or not. That's a good way to protect yourself as well. Lastly, all special products have to be assessed individually. So if they come out with Commander Legends, something else, whatever, if they come out with like Modern Horizons 3, or when, Triple Master, whatever comes out, these products do have to be assessed individually. However, given the track record of things like Modern Horizons, I think I'm pretty comfortable putting that in what I call the Premium Plus category, or Premium category, which means it's around the same as like Commander Legends Baldur's Gate, right? So like built to be a little bit higher power, the cards are supposed to be a little bit better, whereas the Masters would be the top tier premium products. So again, those you should be ready to pay top dollar for them, and understand that they're probably going to have a lower supply in general. Again, not a promise or guarantee, but in general, these products, because of the higher dollar value, are going to be lower in supply as well. It's the smart thing to do from Wizards, but yeah. So a couple like kind of things to, I don't know, kind of close out this video. Always in your mind, set your own buy prices. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Again, what I'm doing is these are the prices that works for me when I buy large quantities. I'm not really going to pay those prices for like small quantities. It definitely changes. I'm not really going to buy small quantities anyways. So That's what I'm looking at. But again, your prices may vary. So, that's something to think about. Understand your own like inventory. If you're doing what I'm doing, then just understand where you have a lot of products already. Obviously, if you have more of something, you should pay less for each additional box to, basically lower your cost average or lower your risk, right? Because you have too many of one product, it's going to take a longer time to sell. So it better be a better price to bring it into inventory, right? And then just understand, there will be times to pull a trigger. So having these prices ahead of time will help a ton because, you never know when a drop happens. And when it does, you should have a price in mind so you can say, yep, that's the right price. I'm going to buy it and not really think about it too much in the moment. It's probably the right thing to do. And the reason I say that is simply because a lot of these drops, when they do happen and it's the price you want, your target price, they do sell out pretty quick. So there's that. One last note about just in general pricing with respect to booster boxes and such. I know I just said draft boosters, I'm targeting $60, but here's the reality. You're not going to get a draft booster at release for $60. It's just not going to happen. This is more of the future planning, like a year from release or maybe even 2 years from release. Within that range, you might see this price happen once or twice. And that's when you pull the trigger. Do understand if you want to play with the latest set or if you need boxes of product like what I do for mass box opening, you do have to pay a little bit more of a premium price for it. And that's okay because, again, the cards at release usually are a little bit pricier. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do. I'm not advocating that you go to a store, try to buy the latest set for $60. It's not going to happen. I'm not even advocating you wait. If you really want to play like Brothers War and you see boxes for, let's say, $100, I think it's fine to pick it up now if you're just buying one box or two. But if you plan on sitting on the product long term, don't do it now. Just wait and see what happens within the next year or so. You have plenty of time. Most of these products are what they call print to demand, meaning if enough people like Brothers War, Wizards is going to go and trigger another print run, which means there's going to be more boxes coming to market, to send to distributors, to go to stores, etc. So you really have no rush to go and, vault or inventory these things long term yet. That's pretty much all the advice I can give you on booster boxes and all this stuff, sealed product, and my current target prices. I think as a general rule on my channel, I try to strive to just give everybody clarity and information. It may not be the most accurate information. Again, it's just my opinion, really. All of the stuff I'm telling you is just my opinion. Obviously take every advice I give you with a grain of salt and do your own research. But at the same time, my goal is not here to trick you or whatever. I just want to tell you guys what I know because I think it's the right thing to do or the fair thing to do. So that's pretty much what it is. You can take my advice or no. So that's what it is. All right, I'll see you later. Mark Solar Games, I'm signing out. Bye.